Hey guys, so in recent years, it seems like there is an increasing distrust of experts. When you talk about things such as diseases, the climate, politics, history, a lot of people, instead of listening to these individuals who call themselves experts, they say, well, I'm going to do the research myself. And I don't think the reason for this is one single thing, and I don't think it can be fixed, this distrust of experts and institutions of experts and universities and whatnot. But I think one thing that may be contributing to it is basically a misunderstanding of who are these experts or why are they experts, and basically like why should their opinion matter any more than yours, or the things they say matter, or why can't you do the research yourself. So what I'm going to do briefly is I'm going to just talk about why are these people experts. Namely, I'm going to discuss education. Because the truth of it is, in the U.S., most people, even though the numbers have been increasing, most people don't have college educations. And this is not a criticism of people who don't have college educations, because there are plenty of jobs that don't require college educations. And as a college instructor, I'm a firm believer that not everybody will benefit most from to going to college. I think people, or at least to getting degrees. Actually, I think a lot of people who end up going to colleges would be better served if they went to vocational programs. And because we force or encourage so many people to go to college, we end up missing out on a lot of people who would be very good electricians or technologists, I guess I'll call them. And we basically discourage them from going to school because we're forcing them to do something that they don't want to. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So to discuss why these people are experts, I'm going to try to make this brief. I just want to go through the whole sequence of what the education is for people who don't know. So I think the numbers, right under 40% of people have bachelor's degrees. But even people with bachelor's degrees may not know what goes on after that. So I'll talk about that. But let's first get to the bachelor's degrees. So basically, your first degree you can possibly get is an associate's degree. And it's usually an associate's of science or associates of arts. And it usually takes 2 years. Now, think of an associate's degree as basically like high school, but with a little tougher and a little bit, a little bit more focus on what you're interested in. And you'll notice that when you get your bachelor's degree, the first 2 years of it is actually a lot of stuff you learn from high school. So the associate's degree is your first 2 years of your bachelor's degree. Then you do 2 more years and you get your bachelor's degree. Now, your bachelor's degree can be a BA, it can be a BS, which there's a joke with that, but maybe I'll remember to say it. So a BA is a Bachelor of Arts, a BS is a Bachelor of Science. And there are probably some other ones that I'm not thinking of right now, I know. But in America, that tends to be, I'm talking about the United States, that tends to be the way it goes. And of course, the sequence in education I'm talking about is the United States. When you go to other systems, when you go to other countries, they're different. Some of the differences are big and some of them are minor, but they're different. So depending on what your major is, you can get a BA or a BS. And some majors actually allow you to choose the two. So my bachelor's is in pure mathematics. And for most people who get mathematics degrees, they get a Bachelor of Science, but I actually got a Bachelor of Arts. And that's only because I took so many foreign language classes, but I could have actually chosen either one. So then after you complete your bachelor's degree, if you choose, you can go on and get your master's degree. Now, before I go to that, your bachelor's degree and your associate's degree are referred to as your undergrad. And after you get your bachelor's degree, then you're moving to the graduate degrees, right? So your first graduate degree, and this is not going to be comprehensive. Let me get that out of the way, because there are going to be people saying, man, you're missing a whole lot of them. And I'm not going to be comprehensive with this. I don't want to make the video that long. So with the master's degree, think of the master's degree. Usually it's an additional 2 years. Some master's degrees can be a year. Some of them can take 3 years. But a master's degree is basically focusing a little bit more on whatever your major was. And depending on what you plan on doing with that master's degree can determine what your program is. So if you want to continue with your education, you may choose to get a master's degree where you have to write a thesis. And a thesis is just a report about a research paper about whatever your chosen area of study is. Or you can take an exam. Some master's degrees allow you to take an exam. And so there are different types of master's degrees. MA, Master's of Arts. I don't think I've said this already. Maybe I did. Master of Arts, Master of Science. And then you have like a MBA, Masters of Business Administration. You had an MFA, a Masters of Fine Arts, and so forth. So now it's getting complicated as we continue, and now it's going to get a little bit more complicated because now we're going to go into the terminal degrees. And there are a number of different terminal degrees, but I'm just going to categorize them. I'm going to put them in two categories: professional and academic. So academic professional degrees, these are doctorates. So we call them terminal because this is the kind of the end of the road for your formal education. You know, you always be learning, but this is the end of the road for the formal degrees. So you have your doctorates, you have your professional and your academic. Your professionals are going to be your doctors, your lawyers, right? And that's going to be, and I'll put something in to kind of designate it. So the way, if you're looking at someone's title, they will have Dr. So-and-so, and I'll put my title up there, but they'll have Dr. So-and-so, then they'll have a comma, and then they'll say whatever. So if you have a PhD, which is what I have, it would be Dr. Kill Robots, comma, I hope I didn't say period, comma, PhD. If you're a medical doctor, it would be Dr. Kill Robots, comma, MD. So what are the difference between a professional and an academic doctorate? So a professional doctorate is, think of it, you're going into a area where you're going to be applying whatever you learned directly. So lawyers, you're practicing law. Maybe I should say practicing. You're practicing law. You're practicing medicine. Another, I think, would be would fall into the professional doctorate is a Psych D, which is I think a somewhat, maybe in the past few decades, branch of psychology, where you actually you work in clinics, you're practicing, you're applying the trade of psychology. Now, an academic PhD is a research PhD. Now, I can't really say too much more about the professionals. One, because I didn't go through that, and two, depending on what area you go into, what field, a lawyer, a doctor, a Psych D, they're going to be very different. So I can't really get into that, or I can, but it would take longer. But an academic PhD, they tend to follow kind of a similar pattern. Here's how it goes. Your first few years, you're going to be taking what's your foundation classes. And so my PhD is in mathematics. So for most people who are doing PhDs in mathematics, your foundation classes are going to be a class called abstract or modern algebra, whatever you call it, 2 semesters of that, assuming you're in the semester system, 2 semesters of something called real analysis, maybe some topology, maybe topology more than likely, some complex analysis, whatever. And after you do that foundation, then you're going to do, the foundation is usually about a year. And this is for academic PhD. So even my brother's doing a history PhD, and he had to do these foundation classes as well. So then you have qualifying or comprehensive exam. And that's just basically saying you know the stuff that you spent the first year or 2 years studying. And after you do that, you'll continue to take classes, but usually classes you take after that are in the field of your focus. So what I mean by that is my PhD is in mathematics, but my concentration is in functional analysis, which is kind of a funky branch of calculus. I'll just say that. So I took a bunch of functional analysis classes. I took complex analysis, and I took some other classes just for fun, which you can. You can take classes not related to that. You can take statistics. I took a statistics class, whatever, right? So the last few years, after you do your comprehensive or your qualifying exams, you're taking these classes, but then you're starting to do research. And that's the thing that distinguishes an academic PhD from a professional PhD, is the research. And a large part of that is learning how to read journals, applying what you've learned before to understand this material, and then doing your own research. And the idea of an academic PhD is you're making a small, or for some people, not so small contribution to the entire body of knowledge, right? And to finish a PhD, depending on what you're getting your PhD, can be anywhere from it's usually at least 4 years, but for the humanities, it's usually longer, all right, okay? So that research thing, that's the thing I want to focus on. So I started out by saying a lot of people don't trust institutions. So you have these people, you have these doctors, you have climate scientists, you have historians, you have whatever, lawyers, whatnot. and they say things and you're like, well, I don't trust them. I'm going to do my own research or whatever. Now, there are people out there who have these degrees and they are not honest actors. And then you have people who have degrees who aren't really, they're not experts in your field or in their field. Having a degree does not make you, in theory, it should make you an expert in the field, but having a degree does not make you an expert in that field automatically. Some people manage to just kind of slip by, or they have the basic competency of it. I know there'd be some people probably be maybe a bit annoyed by me saying that, other academics, but it's the reality of it. But why should you trust these people? Well, the thing is that these things are much more complicated than you perceive, more times than not. Now, you can learn a lot. I always say that every class that I took, or maybe not every class, but a lot of the classes I took when I was doing my PhD, I can actually find those classes online where they're recorded lectures, almost the entire class or most of the class, where professors have put their lectures online. The books that I use, they're online, they're as PDF, but it's that guidance and it's that amount of time spent learning the material. And that's where the expertise comes in. That's the research. So when you say, I'm going to do my research, well, you have people who've already done that research. They've already looked into it. They've already dissected it in ways that you probably can't. And that's the thing that's missing there. Because I'll just say this. We talk about medicine. I don't want to say the word, but we know that medicine has been a big deal over the past few years, the past 3 years, I should say, because of events. But if someone said to you, hey, here's a calculus problem, calculus 3, let's say, can you do it? There's a fair chance that you may have struggled with math, and you know that in order for you to do that problem or understand it, you're going to have to go to somebody to get help. So why is medicine or law or history any different? It isn't. They're just as complex. Don't let it fool you. The way you think these things work, more times than not, isn't how they actually work. It's that calculus problem. The only difference is that calculus problem, you kind of have you know that you don't know. So if you want to learn about the world, or if you want to understand the world more, there's people out there. Yeah, be curious. Read. Learn things on your own. But recognize that there are people out there who are experts in those fields. And if you don't trust someone, if you don't believe somebody, always get a second opinion. But don't find the opinion that you like. So that's what happens with a lot of things now, is that if 99%, or I should say 99% or 99 people say something you don't like, you try to find that one person who agrees with you. And that's bad. Do not do that. You're not being, you're cheating yourself, and you're not being honest with yourself with that. So anyway, I hope this was kind of informative. I could have went a lot more into it, and I'm gonna, after I finish this, I'll probably be like, oh, I should have thought of that thing, but I didn't. And I guess I'll just mention this: the length of time. Oh, I will go back and say one thing. So the sequence of going bachelor's, master's, and doctorate or PhD, that's not, you don't have to do that. Some people actually go directly from their bachelor's and go to their PhD. I didn't do that. I got a bachelor's in mathematics. I got a master's in mathematics. It took me about a year. I got a master's in applied mathematics, where I learned programming and how to do optimization. And then I got a PhD in pure math. And if you want to know what pure math is, it's really, I always say, like, applied math can be a lot of things. It can be kind of engineering. It can be kind of physics. But pure math is in many ways more like philosophy than science. That's what I say anyway. But like philosophy and logic, it's kind of nebulous with that. But anyway, I hope this was informative, and thank you.